Greetings, children of the screen. Your friendly neighborhood nerd scum here once again with another installment in What You Mean You Ain't Seen. And just so you guys know, there will be a little bit of swearing in this. So, thank you very much for joining us. I obviously am Nerd Scum, and motherfucking here with me today is...
Brianna.
Old Man Logan.
That is right. And guys, so, today we were about a week late, because here's the thing, okay? A week ago, I was like, alright guys, these are the two movies that we can watch, okay? We can watch Escape from New York, which I've been talking about for a while, or Highlander, because I was looking at my movies, and holy fuck, Highlander. We ended up going with Escape from New York, and as we're watching the movie, I'm going through my phone, and I see that it's the fucking 25th anniversary or something.
Son of a bitch!
Yeah, of Highlander. And I was like, damn it, I knew it down in my Highlander-loving soul. So I made a point. This is our 25th anniversary, or whatever anniversary it is, special. So guys, before I brought it up, had y'all heard of Highlander before?
I never had, but I never hear about the movies you let us watch, because I'm just, I'm uncultured.
Oh god. No, I have not. There was a couple scenes with, I think you showed us because of, Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
But, that was it.
Yeah, because we had...
old Clancy Brown
right.
performances.
Oh yeah, because we had watched the Justice League animated series, and I was like, oh god, Clancy Brown, and you were like, who? And I was like, the dude from Shawshank? The Kurgan? And you're like, what the fuck, the Kurgan? The fuck's a Kurgan? So I was like, oh my god, here. But I was surprised, because like, there was also a TV show that ran for like 10 seasons, so I was really surprised that y'all hadn't even heard of Highlander.
Nope.
Yeah.
So, what did you think?
I loved it. I had a great time. It was just so much fun for what it is. It's like, I love the flashbacks and just, oh man, I love everything about that time period, though. It's my favorite.
Yeah, it was, pretty interesting, sword fighting in modern age. Like, they, thinking of that back then, I guess? Like, that had to have been one of those pitches that they were like, dude, sword fighting in New York. And everybody was like, yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah.
And then it turned out
cool.
awesome.
Yeah. And again, we were talking about it a little bit before, like, I am not that big into fantasy stuff, but I love swords and sword fighting, and this movie really is probably what spawned that, because it was just like, oh yeah, like, there's no dragons or orcs or elves or anything, it's just like two dudes in a grungy city, like, fighting to the last.
Chopping each other's heads off.
All throughout history, and I was like, that's cool, because you also, like you were saying, you get elements of, like, a time travel movie without it actually being a time travel movie. You get kind of
feels
like...
very fantasy when they do the flashbacks.
Yeah. Which, again, the flashbacks are really, like, the narrative device that's used the most in the story, but when this movie came out, not every single movie was doing that. So...
Right.
It wasn't at the point yet where people were like, are you serious? Like, Man of Steel is just gonna do the same thing Batman Begins did with the flashbacks? Damn. But no, yeah. So, let's see, how did y'all like, Christopher Lambert, who plays the main character?
Oh, I loved it. At one point you told us that he sometimes didn't know exactly what he was saying.
Yeah.
When doing it, and that blew my mind, because, like, I don't know, he does it really well, and, like, he delivers the lines really well. I was really impressed.
Yeah.
Although sometimes the lines seem out of place, and it just makes the whole character seem very quirky.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah, because for those of you who don't know listening basically Christopher Lambert, when he got the role, didn't really speak English. He had learned to speak enough English to get the job, and then the filmmakers found out he didn't really know English. Well, he was in the process of learning it as they were making the movie, and, like, you can definitely tell that by the time they got to some of the more intricate or more emotional scenes that, like, he had it down. Mm-hmm. But there's also some other scenes in the movie where...
he's just got his little one-liners that are like, okay.
Are great.
Yeah. Where he's just doing it phonetically, and they have that great line in the movie where they're like, where are you from, Nash? You have a funny voice. He's like, lots of different places. And, like, it really helps that idea.
He's in the elevator about to leave off for the final fight.
Yeah.
He's just like, magic.
Yeah. It's a kind of magic with the little wink kind of and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's fantastic in this.
Time you showed up.
Yeah. Right. What took you so long?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got like that great raspy, like, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Quirky is the right word. In a time when like action movie heroes weren't quirky.
Yeah.
Not in that way, you
What
know.
you talking, what would that be, like Stallone? Or
Yeah,
like,
that's definitely like in the height of like Stallone, Schwarzenegger era, where like they were funny and like they had the one-liners, but not like they weren't like weird and quirky dudes like nowadays in every hero like in Sherlock or Doctor Who, they're always weird and quirky and like that's the archetype nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't think this movie is one of the things that made that like a thing, but it's definitely something that I think contributed to that in the zeitgeist of like the weird, quirky hero who's kind of an everyman, but also exceptional at the same time.
Yeah.
So, Sean Connery.
I loved it. I love Sean Connery, though. I've got a soft spot for him.
Yeah. And I don't mean that in like a bad way. It's just like he's a mentor.
Yeah. He is so Sean Connery.
Yeah.
You know? And like that, I feel that like that is always the strength and the weakness of every Sean Connery performance is that he is so fucking Sean Connery that he nor the character can escape the Sean Connery-ness of it.
Yeah.
But again, because this movie is quirky and weird and funny, like the whole thing about him being like an Egyptian who spent time in Spain or whatever, you know, like they play with it in such a weird way where it's like, yeah, I guess when you're a few hundred years old and you just like pick a dialect you like or an accent you like,
or
and
like wherever you're at becomes your accent.
Yeah,
really, like you're trying to blend in.
Yeah,
even though when you go walking up to people spouting you're an Egyptian Italian, I don't know how that really goes well.
I don't know what people are gonna do about that, you know. Yeah, and of course, like once you get past this movie, it gets even more complicated. But we'll go into that in maybe future installments of What You Mean You Ain't Seen with Highlander 2. The Quickening. God. But anyway, yeah, Sean Connery is freaking amazing. He performs the mentor role very well. And the relationship between him and McLeod really endears you to McLeod very easily because you already like Sean Connery because he's so fucking Sean Connery.
Yeah.
So it really endears you to the character of McLeod. And then also like seeing McLeod with that sword later on then means so much more.
Yeah, for sure.
And this movie does play with a lot of little elements of things that aren't said. There's a lot of elements and like things about the character that are inferred when you watch the movie because the movie respects you as a moviegoer and is like, oh, if we texture in all these things, people will just pick up on it and stuff. Yeah. A good example is like the room where he has all the stuff he's collected and like they don't ever show you like a close-up on stuff of like, oh look, he was in China in this period and he was here in this period. Yeah. But like as you see it, you're just like, oh shit.
He's been
like
everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So then
especially when he like recollects the alcohol. Like he's smelling it. He's like, oh, 17, 83 or whatever. Like, yeah, I've good times.
It was a good year.
Yeah.
And she's like, was it? And as we were watching the movie, and I was like, you don't even know what the fucking word subtle means, do you, dude? Yeah. Like, for a guy who's made it this long, he's like every version of SpiderMan we've had in a movie when it comes to keeping his secret.
Begging to be found
out. I think it's because, like, at this point, it's like having an STD. Like, he can't bang a chick until he tells her.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, he's like, look.
So, like, she finally finds out, and he's just like, fuck, I guess I have to tell you.
Yes. Yeah. And he's,
out of the bag.
And at that point, he's, like, been around her enough. He really wants to bang her. Yeah. Like, so he's just like, oh, the last person I banged was that woman who I raised from childhood, and I really need to get some ass in the 80s, so...
And she's totally okay with it.
Yeah, and so here, like, I've been alive forever. Now, stab me, and then I'll stab you with my penis. In a really awkward, yet kind of artsy sex scene.
Yeah.
Sidebar warning, not just cussing, sexual innuendo.
Yeah. We're going there, folks. It's Highlander. It deserves it. So...
You start asking questions.
Right? So anyway, moving on. Speaking of going there, motherfucking Clancy Brown as the Kurgan. Thoughts?
I love it. I remember when I first saw him and I saw him in the headgear with the skull and everything. I was like, wow, love it. down for it. Let's
just
go.
like I said after the kidnapping scene, like you never really see in action movies when the damsel in distress gets kidnapped. Like what happens? It usually just shows them in the doorway, and then it cuts to the hero figuring it out. And like with that, like they just gave him the whole 9 on it. Like just we're gonna film you kidnap this chick in New York.
Yeah.
He
do
had
whatever
a
you want.
blast.
God, yeah, he's having so much fucking fun. Like, he's over the top, but in this movie, it just works. And we're gonna get to the music in a minute, which helps take it over the top. But god damn, like, there's never a scene in this movie where you're like, Clancy Brown is just there. Like, no. And I mentioned y'all, I wonder if in the original script, if it was just like, oh, he kidnaps her, and then you get the message, he sends the message to McLeod, but then they were like, saw what he was doing, and we're just like, oh no, fuck that.
We're gonna keep following this.
Yeah, we're gonna
more.
We're gonna do more of
See what
this.
happens.
Because yeah, like, and I think if I recall correctly, I think that's the movie that really got him his first like big attention, but I could be mistaken on that. I feel like maybe there was something before that, but yeah, like, the Kurgan is an essential Clancy Brown role, and like in my mind has always shaped. Even when I saw him in Shawshank after that, I was just like, "That's the fucking Kurgan," you know? That's awesome.
Dope.
Fucking Clancy Brown. So, before we stop talking about this movie, we can't go on because we have to talk about the fucking music. Because, as I said to someone recently, how can a movie where Queen agreed to basically do the whole fucking soundtrack, how could that possibly be a bad movie? It can't.
Yeah,
It can't. Like,
can't.
that's some really good Queen there that
It's,
you hear in that. And not to mention, I don't know, like, at first, when I was seeing the movie that we're watching and, like, the scenes, and then they just throw in the music, and you're just like, okay, and then it kind of starts going, and you're like, oh, but fucking Queen, though, man.
Yeah.
Like,
And man, the fucking theme song to this song,
Yes.
they got to use it for the TV show too.
Oh,
And
that's
like, it's fucking awesome,
Yeah.
you know? Like, it's just a great theme song, and like so of its time, but it has like great energy, and it
Fun.
also, yeah, it's fun, and it's kind of epic sounding. It kind of encompasses everything that you want the movie experience for this movie to be.
Yeah.
And it gives you like a little bit of like idea of the kind of characters that you're going to be dealing
Right.
with and stuff like that. So it's really awesome. And even like some of the smaller songs they do in the movie, like again, like their fucking cover of New York, New York. Like, that's, yeah, sure, that's cool.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah.
Right. And oh man, there's also a really great score, but I am totally blanking on the composer's name for it. But he did a really good job of like doing a traditional score that blended with the rock soundtrack that they were composing, and then also like blending them in with scenes and almost seemingly incorporating like the sounds of the sword fights into the music that he was doing for it.
Yeah.
A good example being like that last big fight where it had like the sweeping kind of classical score stuff, because that stuff really helped sell the emotion and the impact, and because you're just in a fucking warehouse, man.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But you have to feel that it's this epic battle for like some grand stakes, and they fucking sell it.
They really do. So well.
So real quick, last thing, effects.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that as far as recommendation, because while they do hold up and some of them don't, it's still fun.
It's
like
a lot of fun.
every time the Kurgan or McLeod like claimed a soul, it like did the whole big explosions and everything blowing up and the fake electricity going everywhere. It's like, man, I'll give it a pass. It's cool.
Yeah,
You
it is.
know,
Yeah.
and it's fun.
And
Like,
I personally really love, because this is back whenever to do lightning and stuff like that, you had to hand draw it.
Yeah.
And so even like at the end when you have all those big demons and stuff, like that's all hand drawn animation.
Oh,
And
that was beautiful, by the way.
yeah, and like even though it doesn't look like something that's physically really there,
yeah.
it's still, there's something more, like you said, it's something more enchanting about it than like if it were just a bunch of CG electricity thrown on there like we see in like early Star Trek Next Generation episodes, like the you know, it just
beautiful.
yeah, all
It
those
really
kind
is.
of effects are really beautiful.
And they hold the fuck up.
They really do.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say in this movie that maybe doesn't hold up, and that's because of the like cleaning up of the image and stuff for DVD and Blu-ray is sometimes the practical like makeup effects don't look as good.
Yeah.
Like Kurgan's like bald cap thing, like you can totally tell it's there, but it's fine because he's still got fucking safety pins in his neck.
Yeah,
he looks crazy.
And like sometimes the neck looks fine, but then there was also one shot in the church where he's leaning forward where you could clearly see where it was starting to peel and stuff. Yeah. So, and again, like, I used to have the movie on VHS, and you couldn't see that shit. Yeah. But, like, now that it's been cleaned up and everything, you can really see everything. Mm-hmm. And, like, the bald cap also kind of works still sometimes, because the idea is supposed to be that he's got a misshapen fucking head.
Yeah,
and it's like
probably
bulbous.
Been smashed in a couple times, you know.
Yeah, well, also
he's been through some shit.
I think also, like, from one of the comic books, they say that the implication is actually that, like, he's so old that he's actually a little further down the evolutionary ladder than modern day men are. Huh. Like, he's an early form of Homo sapien, basically. Who's
Makes
just
sense. Yeah, because I mean, they were in the flashback. They were saying like he's been the longest or greatest warrior. So if you're going all the way up to modern day, like you'd have to be pretty damn old,
right? Yeah, because there's a couple of comics that really flesh out some of the other characters in some really cool ways, and then there's some really shitty ones too. But that's neither here or there. All in all, guys, so I feel we all like this movie. Would you recommend it to someone?
Oh my god, yes, I had a ball.
Yeah, definitely. Especially just like, hey, did you know, man, that anniversary of this movie was out last week? Give it a test ride. It's on freaking Netflix. I think it's on Netflix.
I don't know. I didn't actually check because I have it.
Because it had the cover looks totally different than like what's the movie is. So.
I know that they have the Highlander 2: The Quickening on Netflix, but I also have that. So why do I have that? Because Highlander's fucking awesome. That's why.
It really is.
At Walmart right now, they've got a pack for $15 of all the Highlander movies, and even though most of those are fucking garbage, I still want them.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think on that note, we can close it out. This was a great movie.
Oh, yeah.
We definitely recommend it. I fucking love Highlander. If you have not seen Highlander, why are you listening to this? You should be watching fucking Highlander. True. Because we're not really giving anything away about the plot or anything for the most part. So
No, and you'll have a ball. You really will.
Yeah, go fucking watch Highlander. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for listening. This has been another edition of What You Mean You Ain't Seen, celebrating the anniversary of Highlander. Thank you very much for watching. Nerd Scum, out.
Breezy out.
Bye.
Laters.
Later.